professionals serving community. Talkradio.nyc.
Hello and welcome to the Expansion Room. I'm your host, Siobhan Larice, and this week we will be continuing our discussion about the ways that holistic mental health approaches can improve our overall mental health. And this week we'll be talking about nutrition integration. And this week we also have a guest. Frank R. Harrison is joining us, and he is the host of Frank About Health on this same network, talkradio.nyc. And Frank, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Well, it is my pleasure to be on your show. I definitely was so enthralled when you came on Frank About Health. I think it was last April. And
Mhm.
as you know, back then, with what all different shapes and sizes of behavior affecting our nation right now has been affecting mental health, including mine. I'm have no shame in saying that. And I valued your appearance on that show because you were helping me step forward into a new chapter of Frank About Health. So it is my pleasure to be here today to do the same with you.
Thank you. Thank you. And can
Mhm.
you share a little bit about what draws you to the mental health space in this way for this particular topic, as we're going to be going forward and talking about?
Okay, well, I'll just begin where most of my viewers and listeners know that not only do I have a history of living life with epilepsy, but at the same time, I was also dealing with a lot of caregiving scenarios with my father and in particular my cousin. She was the first critical case in all of that. Now, that was during the time of COVID. So that all became a mushroom effect where I had to pretty much use my neurological experience, which I have a degree in neuropsychology, to really just be thinking about how to advocate for them in particular, especially during a vulnerable time. Now,
Mhm.
one of the aspects of nutrition was really more focused on my own weight gain, which I had endured during that period of time. So I met with a nutritionist named Rochelle Sirota, giving a shout out there, who is an expert in pre-diabetic prevention, or rather diabetes prevention, especially when your A1C shows that you're pre-diabetic. But at
Yeah.
the same time, also learning how an individual such as myself, who has to constantly be hydrated to prevent epileptic seizures from occurring, or even just understanding how my body and my mind and my heart and my nervous system is all in relationship to different types of foods. That already was in my own toolbox, if you will. But I had
Yeah.
to really, especially with my father's case recently in particular, I had to really start doing a lot of research into various minerals, vitamins, herbs, foods, you name it, just
Mhm.
so that I can understand how a recovering cancer patient can still live a good quality of life by eating right while taking his medication.
Indeed. Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate it because it all is connected, right? It
Absolutely.
all, brain health, um, mental health, neurological health, it all goes together. So
Absolutely.
with that, we'll dive right in. So when I think about integrating nutrition into mental health, I kind of go back to my 20s when I was working as a case manager in a mental health facility that was helping people who were at the time in the 90s being released from mental hospitals back into
Mm,
the community. And
Yes.
so there was a lot of helping them get acclimated, right?
Yes.
So I was working with people who had schizophrenia, hard to treat bipolar, and some of the other diagnoses, and some depression as well in there. And I
Right.
noticed something right around age 25, 27. Um, and we would have these case management meetings where the psychiatrist was there as well. And I asked the psychiatrist directly, does nutrition play a role in the expression of their mental health symptoms, the
Right.
clients that I was working with? Because I had noticed they ate sugar all day, snack food all day, processed
Yes.
food all day. And it
Yes.
was rare for them to get like a home cooked hearty meal. And
Correct.
he looked at me in this way that I'll never forget, like I was an idiot, and just said no and went on with what he was saying. But remember now, this is over 25 years ago. So I
Right.
was in my 20s. But we have now seen the research catch up with what I was noticing way back then, that
Right.
yes, nutrition does in fact affect your mental health and your mental well-being. And
Absolutely.
so, and when we think about this, we think about, oh, up here, all the neurotransmitters, all the feel-good hormones and neurotransmitters in the brain, but it actually starts with the gut, right? So you and I have talked about a little bit the brain gut axis. And so in
Correct.
your research, what did you find?
Well, I would have to say my research was more by living it. I mean, essentially,
Yeah,
when I'm constantly worried about my brain, trying to minimize the risk of seizure
yeah,
activity,
yeah.
I did have my side effects of anxiety and depression. I even got diagnosed with PTSD at one point, but that was because, can you imagine having a seizure on Fifth Avenue in front of St. Patrick's
Exactly.
Cathedral? I
Right,
did. So
right.
to have a
That,
lot of New
that would give
Yorkers looking at you,
anybody a
yeah,
post-traumatic stress disorder. Yes.
Exactly. I mean, so either way, the thing is that I just realized that for me, nutrition was part of the same equation as taking my medication every day. I had
Yes.
to be mindful of all the calories I was taking, looking at the fiber and fat grams that I was taking, try to be able to mix and match specific fluids with the medication I was taking, know which ones
Mhm.
I couldn't take anymore. I was always told from the start I could never take alcohol. The irony is that I was diagnosed at age 16, so I didn't even reach drinking age, and to this day have not even had a sip of champagne. So I don't
Wow.
even know what alcohol tastes like. Whether
Yeah.
that's good or bad, I don't know because I could have probably benefited from different types of hormone activity by drinking, but that's another story.
Right,
Um,
right.
I would say, however, that what I discovered being in at that time in my life, not a limited lifestyle, but more controlled and regulated, especially to prevent seizure activity. I was being mindful of everything mainly because of my brain until I got the diagnosis of being pre-diabetic. Then I was looking at sugar.
There
And
we
then I
go.
was looking at carbohydrates as the not killer, but the threat. So
Yeah.
what I also realized is when I stopped cold turkey on a lot of sugar products, candy, cakes, donuts, muffins, the list goes on, I actually felt more energetic and I didn't understand it. And it's
Yes.
sort of
We'll
like
talk a
the
little bit
equivalent.
about that.
Right, exactly. Now, one could
Yeah.
say you've heard the phrase sugar coma, right?
Yeah,
Or
absolutely.
people who actually engage in hard drugs or whatever. When you are going through withdrawal symptoms, when you're off those drugs,
Yep.
there is the turbulent transition. But then once you're out of it, you feel even better. So I'm not saying I
Absolutely.
experienced that, but I am saying that when I noticed after like the first 5 years going cold turkey between
Mm,
2009 and 2014, meaning no sugar products, low carbs, that kind of stuff, when I
mhm.
would drink like even ginger ale, I would be like, "Ooh,
Yes,
ooh, my
that's a
my
lot,
my
right?
my mouth is drying up." Or, for example, if I had a candy bar, I would be like, what is this doing for me? It's just tiring me out." You
Yeah.
know, it would
Yep.
satisfy my hunger pang, but it would not satisfy how I would feel by the end of the day. So it became after experiencing a withdrawal of the processed foods and the sugar foods and everything we're talking about, the gut may have desired it, but my system was not wanting it anymore. It had already been used to
Yeah.
being more hydrated and more centrally focused on what food to intake. I mean, granted, I still had my cheesecake on occasion, but the thing is I was more interested in yogurt than I was ice cream. Or I
Yeah.
was basically doing what I can more for my neurological and mental health rather than preservation of my weight.
There you go. And that's the key, right?
Correct.
It's not about weight loss, body image, how we're looking, to the rest of the world.
Correct.
Talking about nutrition in this way is really about allowing ourselves, when we make shifts and changes, to live our best lives because we feel more balanced, more focused, more able
Correct.
to be engaged in our lives. And
Yeah.
so when I learned about the gut microbiome, I mean, the gut brain axis, rather,
Right.
it was probably about 10 years ago, a little over 10 years ago. And I was really curious because I was like, this is like exactly what I've been wondering about all these years. So
Hmm.
in looking into this, giving the audience a little bit of information about what is the gut brain axis. It is trillions of bacteria, and I know we are like in a world obsessed with killing off bacteria, right? But
Right. Right.
our digestive systems are made up of trillions of bacteria, fungi, and microbes that live in our intestines. And they play a role, a huge role in our mood regulation, as
Yep.
they also help to digest our food.
And you notice in that time frame, that was the growth of the Greek yogurt industry and the
Yes.
probiotics that they were infusing into it.
Exactly, exactly. And so when we can have a balanced gut microbiome, it helps to produce neurotransmitters that we need to feel good, to feel balanced.
Correct.
Serotonin, dopamine, GABA, those are the main ones, and we call them those feel-good neurotransmitters. And so the
Exactly.
gut-brain axis is like a two-way communication system or highway in our
Right.
digestive tract as well as to our brain. So it kind of runs
That's right.
up and down, giving signals. So the vagus nerve sends the messages through our gut to our brain,
Yes.
and our immune system influences our gut bacteria and inflammation levels.
That's right.
Nearly
That's right.
every disease, whether for body or mind, has an inflammation component. And if we can
Correct.
control inflammation, it cuts down on disease symptoms. And then the third thing
Correct.
is the neurotransmitters. So the cool thing is 90 to 95% of our neurotransmitters, such as serotonin,
Yeah.
gets built in our gut.
Correct. It's like the equivalent of thinking of your stomach when it clamors that it's hungry.
Yep.
It's really the brain saying, my hormones and my regulation system that you need is
Yep.
really needing to be fed right now.
Right
So
now.
pick the right food so I can
Yep.
send those chemicals through the carotid arteries to the brain barrier. And there you go.
Straight up.
But most people are just
Exactly.
unfortunately not given that level of communication.
That's right. Exactly. Exactly. Which then leads to like things like brain fog, low energy, like you were talking about. Sugar cravings has been my thing. I have
Yeah.
always had sugar cravings, but when I go off sugar and really pay attention to my eating, I have no more cravings. I also have no brain fog.
No, but also
Um,
if you notice when you start eating any kind of carbs, even if it's, I don't know, if you have pizza and you have pizza crust, you want to go to sleep all of a sudden within 20.
Yes. I need a nap. Need a nap. Okay, so we're about to come up on a break.
Yes.
And when we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about the deficiencies that occur when we're not giving our bodies the nutrients that they need. And we'll talk about those nutrients.
Oh,
So,
absolutely.
yes, take it away.
Alrighty.
Are you a conscious co creator? Are you on a quest to raise your vibration and your consciousness? I'm Sam Leibowitz, your conscious consultant, and on my show, The Conscious Consultant Hour Awakening Humanity, we will touch upon all these topics and more. Listen live at our new time on Thursdays at 12 noon Eastern Time. That's The Conscious Consultant Hour Awakening Humanity, Thursdays 12 noon on talkradio.nyc.
Are you a high-achieving, growth-oriented leader? Are you interested in developing your authentic leadership while creating a healthy, inclusive workplace? Hi, I'm Dr. Mira Brancu, host of The Hard Skills on talkradio.nyc at 5 p.m. Eastern on Tuesdays, where we discuss how leaders develop the hard skills needed to make a greater impact. We interview experts, have live coaching, and tackle these challenges. Listen to The Hard Skills on Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern on talkradio.nyc.
Are you a purpose-driven individual looking for deeper healing, clarity, and growth? Welcome to the Expansion Room, a transformative space for purpose-driven individuals. I'm Siobhan Laurice, host, licensed therapist, and coach. Join me every Wednesday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time on talkradio.nyc.
You're listening to Talk Radio NYC. Uplift, educate, empower.
Welcome back to the Expansion Room, where we're talking about nutrition integration in our mental health. And in this segment, we'll discuss a little bit about the nutrients that we need for balanced mental and cognitive health. Some of the lacking nutrients, like if we're imbalanced, will cause symptoms of depression, anxiety, cognitive function decline, chronic fatigue, right? Not to mention other things that can happen to the physical body that then affect your emotional and mental health as well. But we'll stick to mental and cognitive health. And so 4 of the key nutrients that are really needed or critical for mental health balance are omega-3 fatty acids, B vitamins, which is a group of vitamins, magnesium, and zinc. So omega-3 fatty acids we get from fatty fish like mackerel and salmon, but we also get them from flax seeds and nuts and other seeds. The EPA as well as DHA versions of omega-3s are the building blocks of brain cell membranes. And so we need that to help us reduce brain inflammation, which is so key in the diagnosis, particularly of depression and cognitive decline. B vitamins, it's a group of them. So it's B6, B12, folate. And these vitamins are essential for the biochemical process in the brain that makes serotonin, dopamine, and norepinephrine. Those are some of our feel-good neurotransmitters that we all want.
Yes.
And not having them means we're going to have irritability, maybe chronic fatigue, maybe brain fog, as well as depression can show up. The groups that are key that have to really think about the B vitamins are vegetarians, vegans, and older adults, because either they're not getting them in their diet, or older adults, it's about absorption.
Right.
Right.
Which is why those individuals, not patients, but those individuals need to take a lot of supplements, especially if they're missing them.
Absolutely. And then there's magnesium, which is one of my favorites because they call it the chill pill. But
True.
it is one of those nutrients that is necessary for balancing the anxiety in our brain, in our bodies, as well as irritability, those two
Yep.
things. And it also promotes good sleep.
Yes.
And if you do not get good sleep, any of these diagnoses can be exacerbated,
Absolutely.
particularly depression and bipolar. So
Right.
magnesium is so key for that. Insomnia is one, and also those of us who are moving through the perimenopause stage, fast approaching menopause,
Hmm.
you need sleep. And so oftentimes sleep is an issue and people start to think they've developed anxiety or depression or their mood is terrible, but they're in perimenopause and so they need regulation of hormones and
Hmm.
probably to take some magnesium so they can sleep. So these are things I've learned in recent years what magnesium can do on the other side of mental health. And then the fourth is zinc, which is essential for brain signaling and neuroplasticity, which is the way our brains continue to evolve as we get older and replace old cells with new ones. And so
Right.
a zinc deficiency can correlate strongly with depression, as well as zinc is great for the immune system, which we all know, which we all kind of started to learn more about in COVID time.
Yes.
Um, but with the immune system, that also plays into inflammation. And so zinc is like paramount to have. What's
Yes.
really fun about these four nutrients, nearly every multivitamin has them.
Yes. And if you don't mind my saying, Siobhan, also vitamin D. Vitamin
Yes,
D had become a necessary,
yes.
I don't know what to call it, necessary animal,
Yeah,
a
because it's a
necessary
nutrient
evil.
that we don't all get because we're all indoor cats nowadays.
Especially during COVID, right?
Yeah.
So I ended up being jumped up in my prescription from 5,000 IUs of vitamin D to 10,000 while I was in
Yes.
COVID. And I guess
Yes.
it became a habit. I've taken still 10,000 even now,
Oh,
3 or 4 years
wow. Okay.
afterwards, because I noticed the change it did in my energy levels, especially around
Yes.
my brain. It was very important for someone living with epilepsy to have all those not just the neuroplasticity, but the neuro
The
the
transmitters.
neurotransmitters, yes, and all the
Yeah,
firings to be elevated by the vitamin D minerals. So I
absolutely.
would be taking that with water. I would be taking it with food. I would be taking it,
Yes.
like if I felt I needed a boost,
Yep.
better that than other kinds of substitutes to boost my energy. But I also noticed it also reduced my cholesterol. It also changed even my taste for certain foods that were not good for me to begin with. So
Oh,
it
nice.
actually had a multiple purposes, not just for my health itself, but also for my behavior.
Yeah, vitamin D is one of those nutrients that's actually also a hormone
Right.
that we can develop in our body with sunlight, but most of us don't get outside enough. I am going to be
Right.
doing a segment on sunlight with this series because it's that important to mental health. But
Absolutely.
if you're not getting enough sunlight and your skin actually is able to absorb the rays so that you can make vitamin D, then you should be supplementing because not only for mental health, digestive system in general works better when you're getting in vitamin D, as well as some other systems in your body. Vitamin D does a lot, and we don't, I think, talk about it enough. So thanks for bringing that up.
No
I
problem.
appreciate that. Yeah,
And
it's
and I will say
a
also,
big
it's
thing.
not. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, vitamin D is now I take it with my medication, but at the
Yeah,
same
yeah.
time, I was going to say you had a lot of important things to say there about magnesium. I mean, I noticed while I was going through a little bit of a chaotic time the
Hmm.
last 3 or 4 months of 2024 that I was not sleeping, probably 2 or 3 hours a night. So it was a combination of stress, anxiety, there was some grief along the way. But I started taking magnesium supplements, and I was able to extend my sleep outward an extra couple
Mm-hmm.
hours. So
Absolutely.
I learned to appreciate the value of magnesium also.
Yep. It's a wonderful nutrient. It does. Oh, and
Absolutely.
one of the things I realized, this is a funny fact. If you crave dark chocolate, they say you are likely deficient in magnesium. And I used to crave chocolate
Interesting.
all the time, but since starting to supplement for magnesium, I crave chocolate a lot less.
Well, I have to say that I didn't supplement as heavy as you did, but I was doing the dark chocolate and dipping it in almond butter. So
Nice.
trying to get my protein in there at the same
At the
time.
same time, exactly, exactly. When you think about these nutrients, what did you notice in your father that made you start to think about his nutrition?
Oh, wow. Definitely with the omega 3s, I noticed that when he was starting to have more fish preparation,
Mm,
whether it was salmon or tilapia or trout or whatever, he would start making more jokes. He would start reminiscing and playing Name That Tune with some music that he would be hearing on the television. We have a channel that just plays music or muzak, I should call it. But he's able to identify the title of the song even when not looking at the credits that are posted on the screen.
wow,
So, and
good.
that's
Yeah,
after he was having his seafood. But if he
right.
wasn't having that, if he was having a burger, if he was having whatever, I would tell him about a time when I was probably in high school and he would say, "Oh, I don't remember that." And meanwhile, he was there. So it's very
Yeah.
interesting to see how the impact of seafood in particular, or anything involving omega 3s, especially in the salmon products, were
Hmm.
just making him more smarter, more quicker.
Yeah.
No.
Yep. There you go.
Mm-hmm.
So when we think about these nutrients and notice that they're low in our bodies, right? Maybe we're not supplementing, maybe we're not eating the kinds of foods that bring those nutrients into our body. We
Right.
have to really think about, like, there's this analogy of trying to run a high performance software system on a
Mm-hmm.
computer that's missing a few components,
Right. You
right?
become the computer in that case. You
Indeed.
know?
Indeed. And so we want to have optimal nutrition so that our brains are firing on all cylinders, which is,
Absolutely. It's
you
like to
know,
train your brain not only to figure out the foods that are going to help keep yourself balanced, especially
mhm.
emotionally or through your mental health issues or stress levels, but also use it to take action and not just sit and wait for a solution to come out of the sky because there isn't one. It's with action that you get rid
Exactly.
of your depression, actually. And someone,
Yeah.
like I've even said on some episodes of Frank About Health, when you take action, that's when you feel better.
Always.
Hmm.
Always. And as you and I have talked about in your show, our health system is not quite where we want it to be. And
Correct.
we actually need to take more action in our own lives to optimize our own health. And that includes our mental health at this point.
Yes. And I just have to say before we go to our next break that I
Hmm.
can tell you already, because of the recent legislation passed in July, my
Hmm.
nutrition benefit is no longer covered.
Oof.
How do you like that one? So that becomes your own necessary evil to create a
To
savings account
create.
or something to
Hmm.
cover
To
those
get
needed
those
food, but
things.
food expenses as well as vitamins and just mental health, of course.
Absolutely. All
Hmm.
right, well, we're going to take our next break. And when we
Yes.
come back, we're going to be talking about food as medicine. And we're
Yep.
going to actually have a cooking demo.
Yes, we are.
Yes, take it away. Thank you.
Hmm.
Misalignment within your sales team or with the client stalls deals and creates unnecessary friction for you and the client, resulting in up to 37% lower win rate. If you're in pre-sales, sales, sales management, or sales enablement, and you'd like to increase revenues, win rate, margins, client satisfaction, and stay competitive, this show is for you. Hi, I'm Art Fromm, host of the Making Seamless Sales Show. Please join me live Thursdays at 7 p.m. Eastern on talkradio.nyc.
Hey everybody, it's Tommy D, the nonprofit sector connector, coming at you from my attic. Each week here on talkradio.nyc, I host a program, Philanthropy in Focus. Nonprofits impact us each and every day, and it's my focus to help them amplify their message and tell their story. Listen each week at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time until 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on talkradio.nyc.
Hi, I'm Linda Marcanico. The A Train to Sedona is a memoir about my journey to love and compassion. It's also the name of my new broadcast on Wednesdays at 12 noon. When we are spiritual, we embrace possibilities and ideas, which strengthen our mind, body, spirit, health, and wisdom. On the A Train to Sedona broadcast, I plan to interview guests who embrace these expansive practices. Join us on Wednesdays at 12 noon on Talk Radio New York City.
You're listening to Talk Radio NYC at www.talkradio.nyc. Now broadcasting 24 hours a day.
Hello and welcome back. We are talking about integrating nutrition into our mental health care. And in this segment, we'll be talking about food as medicine. And I want to definitely say that there is no one size fits all mental health diet that I can recommend. And I don't think there's anyone in the world that can recommend that. It's very individualized. And so on that note, because of cultural differences, taste preferences, allergies, I highly recommend people taking an intuitive approach and a slow approach to adding these nutrients back into their lives, into their diets for their mental health, through either their food choices or supplementation. In working with a doctor or a dietitian, you can figure out what nutrients you might be deficient on. And it's just a simple blood test. Like I found out years ago, I was deficient in vitamin D through a blood test. And now that is part of my daily dose basically of supplements that I take, because even though I do get out for a walk every day, being dark skinned, I'd have to be out there a good hour or so to make a difference in my vitamin D levels. And so supplementation can be key, but also adding in certain foods can very much so help the process along. So in this segment, Frank is going to share a video of Joey demonstrating a meal that he has prepared for Frank's dad and the kinds of foods that can help with neurological health as well as mental health. So, Frank?
Yep, here we go. Hey everybody, we're back in Joey's kitchen so that we can look at almond-crusted salmon with broccoli, explain how it helps those with mental issues such as depression and anxiety, as well as those with providing brain and gut benefits. Now, the broccoli in particular has a chemical known as sulforaphane, which is very beneficial for the gut-brain axis, but it also helps prevent inflammation in the brain, especially when infused with olive oil. As you'll see here are the ingredients, which are the salmon with the almond encrusted coating, which also includes breadcrumbs. You'll see the broccoli here mixed with olive oil. You'll also see that this is the mix that he put together in order to create the crust foundation for the salmon. The other aspect is he used garlic, salt, and pepper, but I'm going to let him now go into the nutritional aspects of why he prepared it, especially his secret in mixing the broccoli with the salmon in the baking pan. So, hey, Joey, welcome back.
Hello. Now I'm gonna mix in some olive oil to the broccoli, add some salt and pepper to it, add the crushed garlic that I have on the side in order to accompany the salmon in the oven, so that it could be a delicious meal. It's all beneficial for brain health and is very nutritious for the body. So here we go. That's about a tablespoon of olive oil. And to that, we add about a half or an eighth teaspoon of salt. About a pinch of pepper, along with the garlic. Mix it in well. The almond crust I had prepared earlier, which has breadcrumbs, olive oil, salt, pepper, a little rosemary, and now I will place this into an oven at 375 degrees for at least 14 minutes.
Awesome. And I see you prepared the broccoli with the salmon. There was a reason behind that. I think you and I were discussing about how it avoids the broccoli from being soft cooked separately, and it releases the what did they call that again? Sulforaphane properties to help in the anti-inflammation properties, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, great. Thanks for clarifying that. I think more than anything, I want to hear a lot of your understanding of these ingredients in the finished product. So we will wait for the next 14 minutes to go by and then show it and have you Hey everybody, we're in the magic of talkradio.nyc time. 14 minutes really flies by, doesn't it, Joey?
It sure does.
I can see what an interesting and very professional presentational meal that we have in front of us. Almond crusted salmon with broccoli. I know you have it all written there because you're not the expert in mental health, and that's totally understood. But just for the issue of providing a disclaimer, the information that you're about to present is not to be taken with any kind of view of either this show, The Expansion Room, or of talkradio.nyc, but rather your expert knowledge that you've researched on your own in preparing the right meals, especially in treatment of those dealing with dementia or any other kind of mental health issues. So would you like to now discuss in more finer detail, now that your meal has been prepared, what the benefits of each of these ingredients are?
Well, I will read off the benefits that we have here. The almond crusted salmon with broccoli is beneficial for the brain and has gut benefits. This dish is designed to support both mental health and gut-brain axis. It combines omega-3 rich salmon, prebiotic and antioxidant packed almonds, and sulforaphane loaded broccoli. Salmon has omega 3s, vitamin D, B12, and protein. Omega 3s are built into neuronal membranes, helping microglia shift toward an anti-inflammatory state, support intestinal barrier health, reduce gut-derived inflammation, small but real benefits for mood, anxiety, per meta-analysis. Almond crust has vitamin E, magnesium, MUFAs, polyphenols, fiber, acts as a gentle probiotic, boosting beneficial gut microbes, and SCFA production. Magnesium is linked to improved depressive symptoms. Vitamin E acts as a cellular antioxidant. Broccoli has fiber, folate, vitamin C, K, sulforaphane precursor. Fiber feeds gut microbes, increasing SCFA production. Sulforaphane from glucoraphanin. I can't pronounce some of these words, I'm sorry.
No, that's fine.
Activates the NRF2, the body's antioxidant anti-inflammatory pathway, linked to improvements in neurobehavioral symptoms in some trials.
Okay. Well, basically, we also were in agreement earlier, I don't know if I mentioned it when you were preparing the meal, that a substitute for the almond crust could be pumpkin seeds.
That is correct.
Do you remember why we had said that?
That's in case the person is allergic to the almonds. Some people cannot eat any type of nuts, whether it be walnuts, almonds, whatever in that family they're allergic to. So as a substitute, you have the pumpkin.
Okay, actually, believe it or not, when we were researching this particular recipe, a lot of us agreed that almond crusted would be perfect. But at the same time, I think it was originally walnut crusted. Isn't that right?
That is correct.
But I do understand that walnuts, if anything, is the particular nut that most people have allergic reactions to.
That is also correct.
Right. So, ladies and gentlemen, we chose the middle of the road here between those that are allergic to walnuts and those that would probably end up with pumpkin seeds if they're allergic to almonds. But either way, one final act before we continue with the rest of the expansion room is to indicate that the reason for preparing the broccoli with the salmon is to increase the value that the chemicals released from the broccoli can get to the brain and serve as a shield and as a way of reducing inflammation in the brain. A lot of people say with the way that this particular recipe was prepared with the broccoli and salmon together, it became its own nutritious chemical lab to help improve on the health of the brain and provide a shield for prevention of any kind of toxins that could be released from other seafood recipes similar to this. So that I hope that came out as best as possible.
It sure did. Thank you so much. Yes, that was perfect. And you know, it's funny because you used the almond crust. I'm allergic to walnuts and pecans, but I can eat almonds, and so that would be perfect for me for sure. But yeah, that's one of the reasons why some people want to maybe supplement some of these nutrients, because if they have an allergy to a group of foods, then they can at least still get the nutrients that they need. But thank you. That actually looked really good. Did it taste good?
Oh my God, I ate it like literally 5 minutes after that recording it.
Wonderful. All right, we're about to go to break, but
And,
when
and
we
and
come,
that's why I quickly ended it as because I could see the messages about the break.
oh
So
yeah,
to
it's
make
about to
sure that
come
we were
up. Yep.
dosing.
When we come back, we'll talk about ways to integrate all
Yeah,
of this information into your day-to-day life. Thank you, Jen.
absolutely. You're welcome. On Frank About Health, we're not just talking healthcare. We're managing disruption and innovation. Over the last 4 years, I've taken you from epilepsy and COVID to mental health, caregiving, and now the front lines of healthcare transformation. Stay tuned for a healthier future as we bring on the innovators, professionals, storytellers, and advocates who show you how to own your healthcare every Thursday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time on talkradio.nyc.
Ready to serve up success with a splash? Hi, I'm Bruce Kramer, aka the Corporate Cockroach.
I'm the Renaissance woman, Angie Snowball.
And I'm your strategy doctor, Dr. Navtej Desange, inviting you to serving up success with a splash.
Join us as we shake things up with real talk and real strategies centered around awareness, action, and accountability.
And yes, there really is a cocktail involved. Please join us and sip your way to success.
Serving up success with a splash, where wisdom meets happy hours. Cheers!
Cheers!
You're listening to Talk Radio NYC at www.talkradio.nyc. Now broadcasting 24 hours a day.
Let's talk about integration.
Yeah.
What we just saw with the cooking demo was one way to integrate better food and get the nutrients that we need just by cooking at home, right? And
Yes.
knowing what ingredients go with what. And so
Yeah.
it was very purposeful and very conscious. But if someone is not there yet, say most of their diet is processed foods, or maybe they don't actually have the time to
Right.
cook full meals on a regular basis, we can definitely talk about ways to start to integrate in small steps to build up to, better health, better mental health through nutrition. And that can start with like the first meal of the day with breakfast, because in
Yeah.
so many places here as well as around the world, sweets or sweet cereal, sweet pastries, anything sweet can be had and found at breakfast. But
Exactly.
that then starts your day off with that sugar bang, and then you're kind of going downhill from there. So, what are some ways that you can incorporate better nutrition in breakfast, Frank?
You just hit on a raw nerve, which was so true in my case. I mean, essentially, Joey is here 7 days a week taking care of my father's nutrition, and
Yeah.
Saturdays is usually breakfast. The rest of the week, it's dinners. And one breakfast Saturday morning, while my father is craving pancakes, he decided, meaning Joey, to go ahead and make oat pancakes and
Nice.
put in it all of the natural ingredients, including a little bit of honey to create the sweetness, but
Yeah.
not use syrup. Probably put berries on top of it.
Yep.
And at the same time, allow that to be a mental health breakfast while at the same time giving the illusion, wow, I just had pancakes today. You know,
Right.
also with my cream of wheat or oatmeal, I put chia seeds on it. And I like to put it in the refrigerator and have it cold.
Yeah.
So it
Yeah.
has
I've
like a
done
pudding
overnight oats
texture.
that way. Mm-hmm.
Right. But the chia seeds control the digestion process.
It does. It
Right.
does. Nice. Yeah, I will have several times a week. Well, 2 to 3 times a week, I'll have oatmeal with berries.
Yeah.
And sometimes with a little honey if the berries are like more tart than sweet. And then 2 or 3 times a week, I usually have some sort of eggs, so that I get that other, that hit of protein, um,
Correct.
with my breakfast. And so, yeah, I do love a good pastry. I will not deny, but
Yeah.
I've gotten better at not having sugar as my, thing to start my day. I also drink
Right.
coffee, and believe it or not, as much as of a sweet tooth as I have, I do not like sugar in my coffee.
Yeah.
And so
Same
I
here.
have, yeah, I just have coffee black. I usually have collagen in it for a little hit of protein. And I've just started using functional mushrooms in my coffee, thanks to my mom. She
Hmm.
she had started on this product, and I was like, whoa, how did you beat me to that product? And I tried it, loved it, and started putting it in my coffee. And so that's how I've been starting my day,
Yes.
now. And so that way I'm not having any kinds of sugar cravings. And so the oatmeal and the blueberries or whatever berries actually is filling.
Yeah.
Sometimes if I want a little more of a hit of protein, I'll have a piece of toast with peanut butter on it
Mm.
with the oatmeal,
Yeah.
which helps. Or I have 2 eggs fried or whichever way with some usually veggies. People don't think about veggies for breakfast, but I have veggies with a side of eggs pretty often.
Yes. Like
So
vegetarian omelet. And
yeah.
also you mentioned eggs. I'm always battling between egg whites and egg yolk. Egg whites
Hmm.
predominantly to reduce cholesterol and to also lose weight and
Yeah.
whatever. But the egg yolk, the sulfur in there helps with dementia. So
Yeah.
now I'm like, what do I do? What do I
You're
do?
right.
I
I
think
know, right?
I stick with the salmon recipe I just showed you for the brain and the egg
Yeah.
whites for the body.
Yep.
And
Perfect.
I always keep hydrated. I mean, I know the saying
Yeah.
8 bottles of water a day. I will take Essentia with electrolytes, big giant bottle, and that will
Yes.
be my daily dose of hydration.
Perfect, because
Hmm.
hydration is key. When we're dehydrated, we reach for sweets more often. And
Yes,
so our brain is signaling to us that we need something. We interpret it as, oh, I need a snack instead of drinking some water. But
correct.
hydration is so key, not just for not having the reaching for the snacks, but also so that we can actually have the hydration for our brain function, believe it or not. And
And
I'm
therefore make
always trying to
sure,
get the, mm-hmm,
no, always make sure that it has the electrolytes in there because that goes right to the
yes.
brain.
Because not every, nope, just your regular tap water does not have that. And so you want to, I've taken to either drinking spring water, mountain water, to get some of that, or I do have a little powder that I can add to regular water that has those electrolytes. And so that's so good for the brain. Some other
Yes,
things that people can do is eat the color of the rainbow in your foods,
right.
right? Get vegetables into your diet one way or another, right?
Hmm.
Um, Mindfully eating means also making mindful choices and not trying to change everything all at once. Don't be restrictive where you're just going to throw out everything and eat this way for now on. It shocks the brain and the system too much.
Correct.
Slow down. Like decrease the amount of processed foods you might be eating in your diet and add one good thing in, whether that's a supplement you need to supplement with or food that you need to have in your diet that will give you one of these nutrients that we talked about today, right?
Correct.
Because when we go from one end to the other, it just gives our body whiplash and then we're cranky.
Exactly.
So lower the processed foods, lower the sugar intake, and add in one thing at a time. Give your body a chance to acclimate. Just like we talked
Correct.
about last week about movement, just move a little bit more. It
Yes.
doesn't have to be that you go for a run for 30 minutes all of a sudden every day, right?
Correct.
Just
It
do a
becomes a
little bit of
habit. Before you
dancing.
know it, sometimes you just crave walking.
Yes. Yep. Just go for a 10-minute walk. dance a little bit in your living room. Same
Yes.
thing, same thing.
Yes.
Add something good in. And if you feel like you've fallen off of whatever trajectory you're trying to be on, don't beat yourself up about it, right? This
Correct.
is a journey, right?
Yeah.
Nutrition as medicine, food as medicine is a journey, and we evolve and learn as we go. So if you change one thing at a time, keep
Yes.
reading up on this, talk
Yes.
to your doctor, nutritionist, nurse practitioner about this, you'll get more information. So make it
Yes.
easy.
You make it easy, but also be very
Mhm.
mindful of this big, beautiful bill that was passed, where the tariffs are increasing the cost of foods, especially the nutritious ones. I know that I've already, within my family system, because it has, as you know, been set up as a caregiving system at this point,
Yeah.
we have coordinated a budget control mechanism, used ChatGPT to actually create a
Mm.
month long of nutritious meals for my
I
father in
love
particular,
that.
and go to Costco to buy in bulk, because they're going to remove the food stamp opportunities for people who are on the SNAP program. They're
Yeah.
also going to be able to increase the prices, like on eggs and whatever. But if you buy in bulk, the prices will be about the same as they would be for a dozen eggs, for example.
Yeah.
So you're budgeting your food shopping at Costco in particular. That's my own preferred
Yeah.
place. Of course, others can choose BJ's or whatever other
Hmm.
wholesalers are out there. But at the same time, map out not only what ChatGPT can provide for menus and directions on how to prepare, but especially if they're targeted for meals to combat depression, anxiety, PTSD, or even the neurological variety like dementia,
Yeah.
then they'll tell you where at Costco to buy the particular foods, the items, the prices, and you assemble it together and make an entire day of it.
Perfect.
That's how you integrate nutrition into your mental health and into your lifestyle as a whole.
And into your budget, which is
Exactly.
perfect. Yeah.
Exactly.
Thank you for that. And we'll end it there. It was such a joy to see you again, Frank, and have you
Same
on my
here.
show.
Absolutely.
Wonderful,
Absolutely.
wonderful. Thank you all for joining us for this episode of the Expansion Room, and join us next Wednesday at 5 p.m., where we will continue this series of holistic approaches that we can integrate into our lives for our mental health. Take
And
care.
join me tomorrow, Thursday at 5 p.m. for a new episode of Frank About Health with the return of John Byer, a person in recovery that is able to make an expansive life for himself, both dealing with autism through his son, as well as dealing with his growing business that has also involved a music career.
Yes. Oh, that would be good. Thank you. Take care.
All right. Take care.